Hello, everyone. Can we get your attention? Wow, it really works. I learned that from Rabbi Brower. It's called the shush roll. Really quiets the crowd down. Well, good morning, everyone. Today's a very special day at Tufts. I call this Awards Day. We start here at 8:30 in the morning, and we don't stop giving out awards until 8 p.m. tonight. But this one is very special. This is the 2023 Presidential Awards for Civic Life. There's a lot of recipients here in the audience, both undergraduates and graduates, and it's lovely to see all your family and friends here to support you. This presidential award program is an important opportunity to recognize the core values of our community, one of the more important parts of Tufts' mission about community engagement and civic and active citizenship. And we want to recognize the students who have really taken this to another level and really influenced not only their own selves and their project, but the university more widely and its community. It's blessed with many incredible students who do this impactful work. We get many nominations. 50 students were nominated this year for these 22 awards. There's 12 undergraduates, 10 graduate students. So these awards appraise the achievement and thank them for the service during their time at the university. Many of the students here are graduating this year and really have made Tufts a better place than when they arrived. A special thanks to all the faculty and staff and partners who nominated the students for these awards. Thank you for taking the time to recognize your students, even if they aren't here today getting an award. I think being nominated is very special in itself. With that, I'm gonna, because there's a notice here to keep all remarks to 3 minutes or less, otherwise we'll be here till 12 noon. But let me introduce Dana Cunningham, the Pierre and Pamela Amidiar Dean of Tisch College of Civic Life. She'll give remarks and then we'll start giving out the awards. Thank you.
Thank you, President Monaco. Good morning, everybody. It is great to see you all here. Dean Danjay said to me as we were coming in that this is the Super Bowl of civic life. And I just love that. We are here for the Super Bowl of civic life. So it is great to see so many members of the Tufts community. Does this also work? Oh, okay. Oh, this. Okay, great. It's great to see so many members of the Tufts community here to celebrate these outstanding students. I want to thank President Monaco for his leadership, for his commitment to supporting and recognizing civic engagement at Tufts, and for hosting this morning's ceremony. Before we get started, you know, I have to say a few words about President Monaco's leadership. It's his final presidential awards for civic life ceremony as president. And I want to say that Tony always prioritized this event. He always valued this awards process. And he and his team take tremendous care and interest in the selection and the celebration of the students, these tremendous Tufts leaders. Since 2012, Tony has given out over 200 presidential awards. It's no surprise. As I said earlier this week at our presidential symposium, which is our community symposium, where we have community leaders from all of the surrounding communities come and be in dialogue with each other and with the president. The word that best characterizes Tony's leadership is engagement. And that ethic has been broadly and deeply instilled across this campus during his tenure. One of the things we believe at Tisch College is that every student has their own unique civic pathway. We're dedicated to educating every student across every academic discipline to be ready for a life of civic engagement and impact, whether they're going on to be lawyers or veterinarians, dentists, or poets. It strikes me that in a very real sense, Tony has shown our students and all of us what this looks like in real time. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, through his commitment to building on Tufts as an anti-racist university, and through his leadership on climate and other vast challenges, Tony shows us what it means to be a civic leader, and in his case, a civic scientist. In all he has done at Tufts, Tony has challenged us to ask, how can universities not only survive, but thrive? He has asked us what good we can do together. His engaged leadership has changed Tufts for the better, and his civic legacy will persist. For the students honored here today, I challenge you to follow that example wherever life takes you. I join Tony in acknowledging and expressing my gratitude to all the Tufts faculty, staff, and community members who share that commitment to civic life, and to our students, and who have played a crucial role in helping today's award recipients thrive as leaders on campus and beyond. Tufts University has in its core DNA an unparalleled ethic and commitment to cultivating citizenship. It seeks to embed the values and skills of civic engagement into all corners of a transformational, world-class education. This commitment began with the founding of the school, and that commitment persists to this day. Tisch is the only higher education institution in the US dedicated solely to this work of building, defending, and strengthening democracy. And it makes Tufts unique amongst American universities. At Tisch, we have articulated a bold vision for this moment to build robust, inclusive democracy for an increasingly multiracial society. Looking around this room and learning about all of your incredible accomplishments, the depth and breadth of your service learning, your community engaged research, your campus leadership, and your far-reaching social impact, it's clear to me that you are the very core of this vision. Your achievements are indicative of one of the essential beliefs of Tisch College, that there are countless pathways to getting involved in civic life. Today, we honor students from 8 of Tufts' graduate and professional schools, as well as undergraduates who will next month get their degrees in over half a dozen academic fields. Of course, I'm especially proud that so many of the students we recognize today chose some of Tisch College's pathways to civic engagement. Among today's honorees are Tisch Scholars, Tisch Summer Fellows, and students who worked with the Tufts University Prison Initiative at Tisch College, TUPIT, and participated in Tisch College's service learning opportunities at the professional schools. You will hear about their work and their accomplishments shortly, so I'll not delay the proceedings by singling them out. But know that the entire Tisch College family is immensely proud to have played a small role in your achievements. I also want to thank my Tisch colleagues, especially Shanley Daly, Jess Burns, Abigail Adgate, Jen McAndrew, and our wonderful partners at the President's Office for all of their hard work on this year's awards and on this reception. And let me offer a special welcome and my sincere appreciation to all of the family members who are here today. I know that you are so proud of today's awardees, and we are grateful for your unwavering support of them. Let's move on to the award presentations. A few notes before we do. For our award recipients, please join your nominators at the podium during your introduction to accept your award. Nominators, please keep your remarks to 3 minutes. There are 20 people. We love them all equally. We all love them for 3 minutes. After your remarks, please remain at the front and join the president in presenting the award and posing for pictures. Each award recipient's school dean, co-nominators, and mentors are also invited to join for photos. Please remember to take off your name tags before having your photo taken with the award recipient. Feel free to get up and grab some more breakfast. And finally, please applaud enthusiastically and show your appreciation as we celebrate these outstanding students. We will begin with the Presidential Awards for undergraduate students. I'd like to invite the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, Jim Glazer, to introduce our first award winner. Oh, I've got a list. Wait a minute. Jim Glazer, Elaine Donnelly. I should do these all at once, right? Oh, sorry. Jim. Yeah, come on up, Ariel.
Good morning, everybody. I am so pleased to recognize Ariel Galinsky for Presidential Award for Civic Life. I nominated Ariel along with Professor Shalini Tendulkar from the Community Health Department, and I speak for the both of us. A triple major in biopsychology, community health, and political science. It wouldn't all fit into the program. Ariel is an exceptional student, meticulous but creative, detail-oriented but able to think about the big picture, incisive and respectful, intellectually ambitious and emotionally intelligent. Ariel has fabulous intellectual qualities. Now in her third year on the Student Senate, Ariel has served as the vice president of a particularly active Senate. She is a doer. It's quite remarkable that someone as academically involved and successful as Ariel has the time to pursue various projects for the Senate. What she takes on gets done. She's the strategist and she's the worker bee. She deals with the politics, which is so important, and the logistics. One of her big accomplishments has been an initiative to provide free menstrual products to students, raising the dollars required, dealing with our operations and health staff, advocating to President Monaco and Provost Genco, and working through the myriad details associated with the project. We now have a menstrual product administrative committee working to develop a sustainable plan of action for products to be placed in every public bathroom on campus. Moreover, Ariel, as co-chair of the Food Security Subcommittee, is working on an initiative to create a food pantry on campus, has spearheaded a grocery shuttle to increase access to nutritious food, and has worked with the Office of the Provost to bring back Tufts table events to foster intersectional conversations in the wake of recent hate incidents on campus. Whether it be issues of mental health, cross-cultural dialogue, sustainability, or transportation, Ariel's service to this institution has been extraordinary. And she's not done. She's still a junior. What I find impressive is that Ariel, to be sure, is an activist, but she works through the system. She doesn't just point out problems, she seeks solutions, and that's a lot harder than just making demands. I would note that Ariel's work and volunteer experiences also have prepared her to be a future leader in the policy world. As a congressional intern for Senator Ed Markey, a government affairs and health policy intern for the AstraZeneca Rare Disease Program at Alexion Pharmaceuticals, a Star Center tutor, or a pandemic volunteer at Orchard Cove Hebrew Senior Life Center, Ariel has prepared herself for a career in public health and public policy. She even started the Legacy Project, which involved interviewing individuals in the senior home with a desire to uncover the details behind their journeys and determine how they hope to be remembered. And then she wrote a book that captured the ups and downs of the residents' lives, from their greatest triumphs to their careers' successes, to the joy-filled moments, to the adversity they faced, to the battles they fought, and the grief they felt so profoundly. You can purchase the book on Amazon for just $6.66. Professor Tandilkar and I are totally confident that Ariel's impact on civic life will be big and profound, that she will be a change agent, and that she will make Tufts very proud to be associated with her. Congratulations, Ariel.
Next up in the Super Bowl is Elaine Donnelly, Director of the Tisch College Community Research Center.
Hi, I am so honored to be able to introduce VR Rose. And let me start this introduction with a direct quote from Professor Jennifer Allen of Community Health, who nominated VR and has worked very closely with them. In my 10 years at Tufts University, I can think of no student more deserving or qualified for this prestigious award. VR's strong leadership capabilities and their numerous contributions to the Tufts community and beyond make them an ideal candidate. They are deeply committed to anti-racism and decarceral work, mutual aid, and activism for the LGBTQ+ community, striving to support upstream solutions to community problems with serious downstream health consequences. And I know them to be an exceptionally strong, highly intelligent, and self-directed young person with a very promising future. In fact, I know them to be one of Tufts' finest. I think that kind of, yeah. The key theme that runs throughout BR's time at Tufts is a deep commitment to health equity and social justice. For example, they joined the mutual aid of Medford and Somerville group very early in the pandemic. And what began as a group of 15 volunteers quickly grew to several hundred to supply groceries and a hotline for community questions and more. What BR did was found its language justice team to make the work more accessible to Brazilian, Haitian, and Hispanic community members with limited English. BR also volunteered with the Massachusetts COVID Vaccine Help Initiative as a contact tracer and with the Medford Health and Human Services Are You OK project, calling elder Brazilian residents to ensure that they had the necessary resources to safely isolate, again, delivering culturally responsive services in our communities. BR has also demonstrated a strong commitment to global service. As a member of the Tufts 1+4 Bridge Year Fellows, they traveled to Brazil where they conducted environmental assessments to help combat infectious diseases. And as an intern with the Uganda Village Project, they helped to develop and deliver health education for rural villages, including designing health surveys and conducting door-to-door interviews to learn about community needs. These experiences clearly show their commitment to addressing health disparities and a deep appreciation of a health services approach that has a humble and culturally responsive perspective. Back on campus, BR co-founded the student-run organization Tufts for a Racially Equitable Endowment, which successfully campaigned to divest university funds from private prisons. They're also co-founder of the Tufts Student Prison Education Activism Coalition to create unity among student organizers fighting for the abolition of prisons and the disarmament of the TUPD through education, research, and direct action. BR is deeply committed to improving healthcare for LGBTQ+ individuals. So for example, they were selected as the 2021 Gancher Summer Scholar to work with Dr. Amy LeClaire at Tufts Medical, whose research addresses disparities, LGBTQ+ disparities in clinical care. And even with all of this on their plate, with courses, 3.98 GPA, multiple jobs, this past fall, BR stepped up to serve on the Tisch College Community Research Center Steering Committee as a student representative. So sitting elbow to elbow with faculty and community partners and sharing student voice. With all of this, BR joyfully embraces all opportunities to advance social and health justice, both inside and outside the classroom. And while this only scratches the surface, it's a small fraction of everything that they have going on, of their incredible contributions. We can all be inspired by BR's perseverance and dedication to bridging the gap between health and activism.
Taina McField, Associate Dean for Strategy at Tisch College.
Good morning, everyone. I have the pride and honor of speaking about Carolina Hidalgo McCabe. There are many people in this room that could have been chosen to speak about her wonderful presence on Tufts campus, but I have the honor of standing before you today. So I'll just start off with a little story. I met Carolina in the summer, last summer, as the Institute for Global Leadership was transitioning from being a standalone institute to being an entity within Tisch College. And the first words that came to mind were, wow. I did not believe she was a student. Some would say it's her poise, it's her intellect, it's her grace, her professionalism. But for me, she embodies this presidential award for civic leadership because no matter where she goes and no matter what room she's in, she brings community with her. It's her empathy, her ability to see people, and her ability to bring voice and value to every person and every place she encounters. So that's just a little bit about the person that stands before you. Her list of accomplishments go on and on, so I'll try to stay within my 3 minutes. But on a professional level, Carolina is currently and has worked with Haley House in Boston, and her Haley House director is here. And just at the presidential awards earlier, the presidential symposium earlier this week, we randomly bumped into each other and he was talking about an amazing student, and lo and behold, it was Carolina. And the words in particular that he used was that, you know, sometimes you get an intern and you're like, I'm not really sure what work I can give this person. Are they going to be able to carry out the responsibilities and the tasks that the community and the work calls for? But with Carolina, he said for him, it was a challenge to keep challenging her, to make sure that he was rising to what she was up to, because with each task he put before her, she met and exceeded that opportunity. Carolina has also worked for the Office of Elizabeth Warren, where she provided research, memos, and other works to contribute to the state of Massachusetts. She's worked with Miami for the Freedom Project, the Somerville Worker Center, the Civic National All-in-Campus Democracy Challenge. She has been an integral member of the IGL community. She has stepped forward and been the adult in the room on many occasions, leading her students. I'm going to say her students, but her peers, but she really makes me feel like that, leading her students to not only bring forward issues on a national level, but also a global level. One of the things that I was really proud to see her step into, they took a research trip to Cuba this year, and I'm getting emotional, I'm sorry. The conditions on the ground in Cuba were dire, but Carolina and her peers really saw the people that were there and then came back and brought their stories to campus. And not only that, they were able to challenge people who were in the audience when they were giving their talk back about what the conditions on the ground were. A lot of people wanted to stay high in the world of the politics, but what she really brought to the conversation was, what does this mean for the people, not for your politics? And so when we say, what does the future look like? Many days I wake up, I read the newspaper, I watch the news. I actually feel a level of despair. And then I come to campus and I get to encounter students like Carolina, and I know for a fact, we're all gonna be okay. Thank you.
Brian Timko, Assistant Professor of Biomedical Engineering at Tufts.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Enrique today. Enrique is one of those very special people who excels at interrelated but disparate areas. And I've had the pleasure of experiencing Enrique as a scholar, as a teacher, and as a leader. As a scholar, I first met Enrique on the first day of his sophomore year in my biomechanics class. He was sitting right there in the front row. And it's been a pleasure to watch Enrique flourish as an engineer. And I'm proud that this year he's working on his senior capstone project in my lab. And Enrique has spent countless hours in the clean room fabricating biomedical devices and also in the lab culturing cells. And he is literally building brains so that we can use devices and study them, so that other scientists can use those brains as tools to address things like neurodegenerative disorders for which there is no cure. So he's really helping us to be on the cutting edge of science and technology. Now, Enrique could sign an NDA and get a very well-paying job, I'm sure, which you can still do, by the way, if you'd like to. But he shares his wisdom, and he is a phenomenal teacher. Now, Enrique trained with the Tufts CEO and with Chelsea Andrews to be an equity learning assistant. I've been privileged to have Enrique as an ELA in my intro to computation class for the past 2 years. Now, in this course, we are interweaving topics of DEIJ, and we're addressing things like how machine learning algorithms can propagate and amplify inequities in society. These are tough topics to talk about, especially with a room full of 45 students with different perspectives. But Enrique helped to lead those discussions, and he connected with the students so well. I have never seen students as talkative as they are when Enrique is working with them. And he is helping our next generation of engineers here at Tufts understand why excellent engineers need to also be outstanding citizens. And finally, his leadership. I would be happy if I just had the energy to do all of the things that Enrique does. But if you take everything from, for example, working with the Center for STEM Diversity to mentor high school students many of whom come from underrepresented or disadvantaged backgrounds, to help them excel at STEM so that they can come to places like Tufts. Enrique does that. Through the Tufts Best program, of which Enrique himself was a member, working with incoming freshmen to help them acclimate to university life. And then to sitting as an elected member of the Tufts Student Senate for the past 2 years, with service to them in previous years, to help develop things like university-wide town halls to bring students from different backgrounds together to discuss the issues that are important to them. Enrique came to Tufts and he worked very hard for everything that he has done. And as soon as Enrique became an outstanding scholar, an outstanding leader, he turned around and he gave it all right back. Enrique is the very type of student who exemplifies the principles of Tufts. And Enrique, I am proud and honored, as Chelsea is, I'm sure, to stand on the stage with you today.
Thank you, Professor Timko. I have the pleasure of introducing our next winner, Ariel Derby. And I'm doing this on behalf of her nominator, Assistant Professor Danica Gordon, and the entire faculty of the Sociology Department. Hi. They write, the faculty of the Department of Sociology are thrilled that Ariel Derby has been recognized through a presidential award for civic life. Ariel has an extensive record of service that spans local and global contexts. Her work has focused on educational inequality with attention to increasing access for historically marginalized students. This has included work with students who are formerly incarcerated, neurodiverse, gender minorities, and immigrants. Her time with the Tufts University Prison Initiative of the Tisch College of Civic Life, TUPIT, illustrates her commitment. Ariel has worked as a teaching assistant through the My Turn program, a reentry initiative that serves as a pathway to both continued higher education and meaningful employment for formerly incarcerated individuals. Ariel supported students' skill building around financial literacy, online communication, and professional development. She has continued as a TA in another course on storytelling for social change. Ariel has worked for several years with Best Buddies, an international organization that pairs people with autism with neurotypical peers to form one-on-one friendships. Ariel has built from her initial work as a buddy to the buddy director, offering mentorships to other students in the program. As a final illustration, Ariel has worked with Empower to Educate, an organization that seeks to address educational inequality by empowering women educators in Ghana. She is currently working on sharing the stories of program fellows to build organizational capacity to duplicate the program in Jordan. Incredibly, these are only some of the ways that Ariel has been involved in civic service during her time at Tufts. Her other work and volunteer experiences similarly reflect a commitment to applying her knowledge to exploring social problems and innovative solutions across a variety of contexts. Ariel's exceptional academic achievements, coupled with her years of service to the Tufts community and beyond, make her well-deserving of this important recognition. Please join me in applauding Ariel and her dedication. And now Sarah Gomez, Associate Director of the Environmental Studies Program at Tufts.
Hello, everybody. Let me begin to say how humble I am to be here standing among our next generations of leaders. But I am particularly honored to be able to introduce you to one of these rising stars, Fatima Lawan. Fatima is a real standout student, double majoring in biology and environmental studies, and with one of the highest GPAs in her graduating class. But she's so much more besides an unreal collection of A+. Everything Fatima does, from her academics to her community engagement and her future career plans, is strongly rooted in a deep sense of social and environmental justice. Fatima's driving force in all she does is her love for the people she shares this planet with. She cares about their stories and about their experiences. Particularly, she's a fierce advocate for people of color in marginalized communities, both locally and internationally. People who often go unheard and are facing the consequences of environmental racism. In her words, these are my people, my community. I can't think about anyone better to fight for. Fatima's leadership in community service is really inspiring. I can possibly mention all her many accomplishments, but believe me when I tell you, this is a truly impressive list, especially for somebody who's just starting their career. A few significant activities that show the kind of person Fatima is include her leading role in the Racial Justice Advocacy Group for the First Year Orientation Program, her role as the DEI co-director in a student organization promoting community health education, and her role as a mentor for the Muslim Student Association and the Pre-Med Society. And if that wasn't enough, she still somehow finds time to conduct STEM education research at the Kaspari Lab every week, and she's also a poet. Needless to say, Fatima has made a significant impact on the lives of many individuals, from the kids she works with through Project Sunshine to the displaced individuals living in camps in her hometown of Lagos, Nigeria, whom she translated for so that they could communicate with their doctors. And her legacy will certainly live on at Tufts through the NGO Build Nigeria, an organization she helped found to support low-income Nigerian students seeking to study in the United States. Fatima's selfless dedication to improving the lives of others serves as an important reminder of the power of community. It takes a special kind of person with a deep understanding of the needs of their community, an ability to work collaboratively with others, and the vision to bring people together towards a common goal. I have no doubt that finally will continue to inspire and lead others as she embarks in her next journey when she starts Tufts Medical School in a few short months, and I can wait. And I can wait to follow her future achievements. Congratulations, Fatima.
Emily Valadez, Tufts University Athletic Advisory Committee President and Captain of the Varsity Fencing Team. Whoa.
To begin, I'd like to extend a huge congratulations to all of this year's recipients of the Presidential Award, and thank you for all of your inspiring work that you've accomplished. My name is Emily, and I'm thrilled to be here to introduce my friend and teammate, Isha Vazirani. Academically, Isha has never stepped away from a challenge. As a cognitive and brain sciences major with double minors in child studies and entrepreneurship, Isha has a diverse range of subjects. Isha has studied a diverse range of subjects, all of which have developed her academic rigor, as well as positioned her well for success in civic life. However, Isha's journey into the civic life had its origins in her childhood and through her family. Isha's introduction to community service began as a child, where she accompanied her grandma while she volunteered weekly at the Fellowship of the Physically Handicapped in her hometown of Mumbai, India. Isha's relationship with the organization then flourished, and eventually she began leading the arts program at the institution. She launched her nonprofit initiative, Care to Share, as a junior in high school and reconnected with them during the COVID-19 pandemic to raise funds for medical aid and to provide food security at a much needed time. While at Tufts, Isha has heavily influenced with the period movement, the menstrual equity movement. Starting off as their secretary during her freshman year, she transitioned to being president for the next 3 years. Their events spanned 3 sectors: service, education, and advocacy, and hosted anywhere between 5 and 500 students, people within the Tufts community and beyond. Isha spearheaded initiatives to raise funds totaling into thousands and provide for menstrual communities, not just in the Boston area, but also in India, Pakistan, and Venezuela, demonstrating her global impact on civic life and commitment to creating systemic changes. Although I could discuss her accomplishments well beyond my allotted time, I would also like to share with you the kind of person that Isha is. I first met Isha during our freshman year as a teammate on the varsity fencing team. Since then, our friendship has flourished, and it has been a privilege to watch Isha's passion, drive, and commitment inspire so many others. Isha is one of the most genuine and kind people that I've had the pleasure of knowing, and I personally cannot wait to see all that she will accomplish in her next chapter as her time at Tufts comes to a close. Isha, congratulations. We're so proud of you today and every day.
Katrina Moore, Director of the Africana Center at Tufts.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day for this type of recognition. Hi, JP. I am so honored, as though it's been used a lot this morning, but I am really honored to talk to you about a truly extraordinary student, Jamie Gibbons. As Senior Director of the Africana Center, Jamie's ability to think freely was evident when she stepped up to serve as one of the co-coordinators for the 2020 Africana Center Students' Quest for Unity in the African Diaspora Pre-Orientation Program. This is a 4-day student-led program during COVID-19, during the COVID-19 pandemic. The goal of SQUAD is to create a safe and welcoming environment of unity, collaboration, learning, and socializing as students navigate African diaspora-specific challenges on campus and in their lives. Can you imagine walking in and having to think about how to transition to a completely virtual program during this really unsettling time? But she really accepted the challenge, and with her exceptional leadership skills and a great amount of flexibility and creativity, she helped to successfully plan and execute a completely virtual program that allowed incoming first-year students to learn more about Tufts, become familiar with the resources of the Africana Center, explore Boston along with its diverse history and cultures, and participate in an array of community bonding activities, all online, y'all. Her major in civic studies and Africana studies has positioned her to excel in her extracurricular endeavors. As treasurer and political engagement chair of the Pan-African Alliance Student Organization, Jamie has created workshops and facilitated discussions with many student organizations. Additionally, she has served as a committee member of the Working Group on Campus Safety and Policing and a mentor for the Global Citizen Year Mentor Program. As a Tisch College of Civic Life Scholar, she currently serves as an organizing fellow at the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute and supports and organizes sign-on letters concerning extension of COVID-19 emergency declarations for immigrants in Massachusetts. She has also supported and organized phone banking efforts aimed at contacting low-income voters during her work with Massachusetts Voter Table. Her advisor, Jessie Crow Rothstein, first-year Global Program Manager, recalls that the first time she met Jamie in 2018, when as a newly admitted Tufts student, she applied to be a Tufts 1+4 Bridge Year Fellow in India. From her very first interview, she knew Jamie was someone special. India was by far the most challenging of our program locations, but Jamie's unique blend of maturity, perseverance, cultural humility, and deep thoughtfulness made her an ideal candidate for the program. Through her time in India, where she lived with a local host family and worked at a primary school, she demonstrated incredible resilience, courage, kindness, and compassion. As she developed deep relationships with her host family and found creative ways to support the students she worked with, she also became a leader within the group of Indian fellows. And on-site staff looked to her to lead parts of student workshops and provide invaluable suggestions and insight to improve the program moving forward. Looking back over the incredible 117 students that Jessie has had the honor of working with in the first year program over 8 years, Jamie easily stands out for the truly outsized impact she had on both her host community as well as the network of young people she was a part of. On a personal note, I can tell you that when I first met Jamie, she came into my life as a really compassionate student who wanted to help to build our Africana community. But not only that, she became a very close supporter for me and gave me words of encouragement when I needed it, because we all know that this work is very challenging. And so I'm sad to see that she's going to be gone again. I had my separation moments when she told me she was going abroad for a year, but she came back to campus and really stepped back into her role. And I am just more than thrilled, along with her other nominators, that she is being recognized with this award.
Shalini Tendulkar, Senior Lecturer of Community Health at Tufts.
Thank you so much. I want to take a moment to congratulate all the incredible recipients of this award today. You all just completely inspire me. But I'm here today to speak on behalf of a student that I have the pleasure and privilege of having known for several years, Civic. Civic is a senior in the Department of Community Health. She is also a scholar, an activist, and the first woman in her family to go to college. And her family's experiences with health and accessing healthcare have motivated her lifelong and relentless commitment to serving underserved populations of color, and in particular, her dedication to improving women's health. In pursuit of this goal, over 3 years ago, Subecha joined students and faculty colleagues as a founding member and research assistant of the first Black maternal health research lab in the US, the Mother Lab. Through her role and in collaboration with others, Civic has engaged in maternal health research, community engagement, and advocacy. She has co-authored journal articles, presented at national conferences to advocate for the expansion of Medicaid to include doula care and coordinated outreach to maternal health desert communities like Western Massachusetts. As the lab's communications co-chair, Subecha secured a grant of $50,000 to lead a statewide campaign and worked with others to help pass the first ever Massachusetts maternal health bill. This bill created a state investigative committee on racial disparities and birthing complications. Her work in the Mother Lab has also allowed her to participate in and lead roundtable discussions and presentations at the American Medical Student Association Reproductive Health Institute. Additionally, Subecha is an intern at Tufts School of Medicine's inaugural Center for Black Maternal Health and Reproductive Justice. And through this role, she traveled to San Juan, Puerto Rico, where she was able to present at the International Society for the Psychological Study of Social Issues. She has received numerous awards in addition to today's award, including the National Asian and Pacific Islander American Association Scholarship, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Asian American Commission Young Leadership Award, and the National American Dream Award twice, I believe. Her commitment to equity and justice extends outside of the realm of maternal health. Aspiring to support other first-generation college students and invested in educational equity, Subecha works 20 to 25 hours a week as a college transition coach at a college nonprofit, where she has guided over 90 students who are also low income to pursue higher education. In her future, Subecha aspires to become a maternal and reproductive health physician scientist and scholar activist. I am confident she will be successful in achieving this goal, given her intellectual motivations and extraordinary professional and service accomplishments, as well as her passion. Congratulations, Subecha. You are an inspiration to so many of us and exceptionally deserving of this recognition and award.
Ann Moore, Program Specialist for the Office of Scholar Development.
Yay. Hi, I'm so grateful and really deeply inspired to be here today. Y'all are an incredible group of students and citizens, and it just makes me feel so proud to be part of this community. So I'm really glad to be here. I'm especially excited to be introducing Swar. So my job is I help beautiful geniuses like yourself find opportunities for money or glory or the combination of money and glory. I'm very excited to see Swar launch to glory. But so I think a lot about like hustle, the idea of someone having hustle. And Swar has so much hustle. She showed up in my office her first semester at Tufts, just pretty much immediately, I think, upon arriving at campus, looking for ways to pursue research and advocacy around Arab women's health. We helped her identify potential faculty and coursework that might help her, but it was her drive to make such a meaningful and positive impact led her to immediately start taking action, joining Tisch Scholars, organizing a group of students in summer 2020 to form form the Tufts X Birthing Project USA to help address Black maternal health inequities, which, as we know, were really frighteningly exacerbated by COVID. That group raised over $500 for safe birth equipment and a Malawi clinic, and the group became the seeds for March, the maternal advocacy and research for community health organization that Swar co-founded, which has had an incredible impact on this campus and the world. She is one of the best examples I have maybe ever seen of an activist researcher disrupting this easy binary between academic and street level work toward justice. Sawar's impulse in the face of injustice is to look more closely, so she might better determine both historical basis for oppression and try to find reliable data-driven solutions. The initiatives that March has undertaken under her leadership are great examples of this. Providing high quality reusable masks to families in Ghana might not be the first example most people think of as maternal health, but this is what people said they needed. And, you know, I think one of the reasons that Sawar is such an effective activist is because she was able to put her own, like, or I don't know if this is what you're doing, but I think so. But maybe put your own preconceived ideas aside and listen to the people who you're actually there to help, as we all should, right? The March is an organization that has made a really big difference in terms of who's coming to this campus, which I think is going to make a difference long-term in terms of what Tufts is able to accomplish. And then Sawar was a national finalist for the Truman Scholarship. And according to her interview committee, it was the first time in the history of the award you have to write like a pretend policy proposal, and hers had actually become law before she had, between submitting her application and having the interview, which I think is a baller move, right? Sawar's commitment to the mental and physical health of marginalized people is at the center of everything she does, and is intrinsic to her identity. The level of her involvement is frankly astonishing. She has held multiple high-level volunteer responsibilities every semester while also working in a research lab, meeting requirements for 2 really different majors, having like a totally bananas GPA, and having paid employment. I get tired just reading that list. I get tired just like coming to work. I don't know how that happens. This suggests to me that her goal, you know, which is, you know, challenging and stressful path, right, of being a practicing physician and a researcher and an advocate. If there's anybody who I believe can do that, it's you. And I'll just say, I guess, on a personal note, you know, all my students are very inspiring to me. And the thing that stands out to me always about working with Sawar that is so inspiring is just, you have this clarity of vision about the problems that face the world, but instead, as a previous person mentioned, like I often, when I see sort of what I feel like is the truth of the profundity of the problems facing the world today, I often feel hopeless, right? But not this one. You know, like instead, she's like, okay, well, so what's next? How can we learn about this? Let's look more closely. Let's figure out what's happening and how can we create solutions that are going to work for people, especially for people who don't have folks to advocate for them. And that's how I want to be. And that's how Sawar and so many of you are. I feel so, so grateful to be here and to know you and have the chance to work with you. Congratulations, Sawar. Oh, yes.
Sherry Sklarowitz, Director of Student Programs at Tisch College.
Good morning, everyone. Congratulations to all the award winners and thanks to everyone for being here. So it is truly my honor to be speaking on behalf of Wadeen Wright. So Wadeen Wright was co-nominated by Katrina Moore, Senior Director of the Africana Center, Deborah Schilkraut, Professor of Political Science, Brianda Hernandez, Jesse Crow-Rossing, and Jose Regalado from the Tisch College Programs team. Wadeen has essentially touched all aspects of the Tisch College programming, beginning in her very first semester on campus when she did on our inaugural program of the Civic semester, which is an experiential program that took place in Peru. Her commitment to the program while she was in it, and then becoming a peer leader to support students in the program after her, is just one example that demonstrates so many of the qualities that Wadeen has. Bravery to put herself out there to learn in new ways, intentionality in providing feedback in ways that people can hear it, and a commitment to building community. Her leadership is powerful because she leads with kindness and thoughtfulness. She's somebody that students, staff, and faculty look to, so much so that she was on the inaugural Tisch College Student Advisory Council as well to think about how to support students in the best way possible. Katrina Moore, Senior Director of the Africana Center, said, in 2021, Wadeen was selected to serve as one of the student coordinators of Africana Center Squad, which she described a little bit earlier, which is for first-year students to have the opportunity to learn more about the distinct history and community of Black students at Tufts University and become familiar with the resources available through the Africana Center. Through her leadership in the face of the challenging year due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and global racial turmoil, the uplifting program left the participating first-year students with excitement for their upcoming journey and the reopening of the Africana Center, even though we were entering a new era at a precarious time. As a Tisch scholar, Wadeen currently works with the Somerville Workers Center, conducting outreach to local stakeholders to take part in workers' rights events, and she supports a weekly on-site language interpreters program for high school students. Brianda Hernandez, the senior program administrator who manages the scholars program, said, Wadeen is one of the most committed students that I've met, with a conviction to align her life and work with her mission of supporting others in ways that address structural change. As a Tisch scholar, she's beloved by her cohort because of her ability to inspire and push others to think critically about their role in society and ideate transformative ways to orient the world towards justice. For me, Wadeen has worked with all of us to shape our programs, including our high school program, Leadership for Social Change, before the pandemic, during and through the pandemic, and now as we're transitioning to this new way of in-person community work. Through all the fun things and the hard things, she brings balance and joy. I could not be more proud of her to win this award today, and it's truly been a gift to have her in my life for these years. And we're so thrilled that after all the work Wadeen has done with us over these years, we get to continue working together because after graduation, she's joining the Tisch College team as our new student outreach coordinator. Congratulations, Wadeen. Yeah.
Sarah Allred, Associate Director of Student Programs at Tisch College.
Good morning, everyone, and congrats to all of this year's amazing recipients. I have the great pleasure of introducing Zachary Ferretti to you today. Zach has been engaged in an unbelievable array of civic and community engagement work, both on and off campus over the past 4 years. I don't have enough time to cover it all in the 3 minutes I'm allotted to speak, so I'll share a couple highlights. As co-president of the Leonard Carmichael Society, or LCS, a student-run community service organization with over 25 service-oriented subgroups, Zach has played an instrumental role in re-energizing the spirit of service on campus following the COVID-19 shutdown. This year, Zach was a leader in organizing the first annual LCS Day of Service alongside community partners in Medford, Somerville, and Boston. Zach has led his team to expand the scope of LCS's community outreach to pre-pandemic levels and has led trainings encouraging Tufts volunteers to utilize asset-based and community-centered approaches to service in order to meaningfully and ethically engage with the communities around them. Additionally, he's been involved with Focus, Tufts pre-orientation focused on critical service learning for the past 3 years. Zach is committed to supporting his fellow students in developing their own civic identity, leadership, and agency. As a 4-year member of student government, Zach's community leadership shines exceptionally bright. Zach was elected to the TCU judiciary for 3 consecutive years, the last of which he served as president. During this time, he chaired the re-recognition process for all 350 student organizations and mandated the inclusion of an anti-discrimination clause in the Constitution for all student organizations. As a senior, he was elected to the TCU Senate, where he currently represents the class of 2023 and serves on the executive board of as the student body parliamentarian. In this role, Zach has worked with a wide number of student organizations, including Tufts Climate Action and Access Betters the Lives of Everyone, or ABLE, to uplift and magnify student activism through the resolution writing process. As class of 2023 senator, Zach has been involved in the rewriting of a more equitable TCU constitution, and most recently authored an educational proposal to make the undergraduate course syllabi more accessible. Through his various roles in student government, Zach helps the Tufts community whenever he can, writing tenure reports for professors, presenting to the Tufts Board of Trustees, holding weekly office hours, and staffing the textbook exchange. Additionally, he's been the co-president of Tufts Student Giving, helping to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign to offset the cost of pre-orientation programs for students facing financial barriers, and has been working this year with the annual giving team to raise funds to support the work of Tufts' 8 DSDI centers. Another leadership role he holds is as president of the Tufts Pre-Law Society, through which he developed the first mentorship program for pre-law undergrad students at Tufts and has worked on an initiative to provide discounts on test prep materials. Running through all of his work and these accomplishments are a few important themes: advocacy, inclusivity, critical thinking, and connection. Zach has built relationships with and made an impression on many people throughout his time at Tufts. And I would like to point out that several people nominated him for this award, including faculty, staff, and alumni. Zach is so deserving of the Presidential Award for Civic Life because of his vast leadership efforts, his well-established commitment to public service, and his desire to always and relentlessly do better for those around him and encourage others to do so as well. Congrats.
And now on to our graduate school recipients. Heather Barry, Special Advisor for Global Strategy and Student Initiatives at Tisch College.
So good morning. My student is not here today. He is a 6-year jumbo. He just finished his time at Fletcher, did his thesis early, and is taking a vacation in London before graduation. So, Carlos Irisari, I've known him since his freshman year when he enrolled in EPIC. He did EPIC for 3 years with us, and he has stayed very engaged. And the reason I nominated him is, I think, a little bit different than what's happened here, but his commitment to public discourse, to really understanding where people are coming from, to making sure people are educated about things and to really engage in learning about policies and things has driven everything that he's done. He's insatiably curious. I mean, we've had conversations over the last 6 years that I feel like it's one conversation that's lasted this entire time, but that has driven what he has done on campus. He talked about the connection between human rights, education, civic engagement, and how to make better policies for people on the ground. What that has led him to is to focus on energy democracy and how that's going to affect what he moves on to. His goal ultimately is to be the president of Panama. So 20 years, look for that. But while he's been on campus, one of the formative experiences for him was a research project he did in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. As a Panamanian and French citizen, he went with an Indian citizen and a citizen from the US to go and engage in a Rust Belt community to see how they were recovering, right? Recovering from the loss of jobs over the last few decades, recovering in terms of what was happening politically and divisively. And I think that has really driven everything he has done since his sophomore year. They spent a month in Johnstown. They spent a month understanding kind of where people were coming from, how they were thinking of recreating themselves, talking to all parts of the town. And that has now driven his engagement as how do you make better policies for people on the ground. His thesis was on energy democracy. He is committed to climate change. And as part of that, he's been involved in many other things on campus. He started the Latin American Committee to really engage these issues and bring those to campus beyond kind of cultural issues. He was an Oslo scholar where he interned with Human Rights Satirical magazine based in Venezuela. He did it from here, but to understand how you challenge power, how do you bring truth to power, and what are the different avenues for that. He has committed himself to participating in a number of programs that work with high schools on campus to make sure that students learn to understand these complex issues and how they can see themselves as policymakers, how they can see themselves as active citizens, how they can embrace complexity. And I think that everything that he has done in his time here has put him in a position to really think about how do you develop programs from the bottom up, right? How do you engage in localization and to make sure those voices are heard? And that commitment to dialogue, I think, and education is critical for everything that policies are based on and to make a difference. So I'm sorry he couldn't be here today. I was gonna bring an image of him on a stick and make a student hold that, but I think that, yeah, well, he would have appreciated that. But anyway, thank you, thank you. Oh, you want me to take it?
Why don't we?
Oh, okay.
You're way ahead of me.
Daniel Volchuk, Associate Dean at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences.
Actually, it's Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, but that's okay. It was my honor to nominate Mike Riss for the Presidential Award for Civic Life, and it's my pleasure to present the award to him. I first met Mike 3 years ago when he was elected as the Immunology Program Representative to the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences Graduate Student Council. Due to his demonstrated leadership in that first year as a student rep, he was elected president the following year. And it was my pleasure to work with him as president throughout that year. As president immediately post the COVID lockdown, Mike helped guide GSBS back to in-person activities and events, which wasn't an easy task to get people to come back and do things in person. He advocated for student needs through effective communication to the school's leadership, always utilizing data to support his ideas, like the talented scientist he is, as he's proving in the lab he's working in. Unlike many students who step down from the Grad Student Council when their term is done and greatly lessen their involvement in building student community, Mike has continued to step up He serves as the president of the Graduate School of Biomedical Science chapter of the Tufts Biomedical Queer Alliance and has rejuvenated the organization through activities such as a Pride Month tie-dye event where students were able to tie-dye clothing while learning about the different LGBTQI identities and their corresponding pride flags. And he ran a very successful gender inclusivity and diversity training event, which brought in a trained clinician who specialized in working with trans and queer individuals. It was a great event. Many students learned a lot about trans and queer individuals. Mike's focus, in addition to his lab work, his PhD thesis, and his TBQA activities, is in the diversity and anti-racism world. He took a lead role with our anti-racism curriculum review committee and to evaluate our courses through an anti-racism lens, steering the group in developing a framework and rubric to allow faculty to self-evaluate their courses through that anti-racism lens. And it's a system that the faculty are now using and will be evaluated on as we move forward. He has served on various committees which sponsored a variety of DEI-focused events, including movie screenings, visits to art exhibits, and Pride Month events. He individually and successfully led the effort to increase the number of gender-neutral bathrooms in our buildings on the Boston campus. I'm trying to stay within my 3 minutes, so I'm not listing only other things he's done for us. But while he's on track to graduate in the next year or so, and we'll know that soon because he's meeting with his thesis advisory committee this afternoon, we'll have a better idea where he's at. Not that I'm pushing him out. His impact on the Grad School of Biomedical Science will be felt for quite some time. Please congratulate me in giving this award to Mike.
It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce our next award recipient, Arti Singh from the Friedman School of Nutrition. Arti Singh has been a dedicated community leader, public servant, and advocate for anti-racism and social justice, and has shown exceptional initiative to celebrate cultural diversity at Tufts University. As an anti-racism action plan evaluation specialist and DEI event coordinator, she has created an inclusive and welcoming environment at the Friedman School and recognizes the importance of representation, ensuring that all students feel seen and heard. Arti has been actively involved in various campus and community activities. She organized a Lunar New Year celebration that honored the cultural cuisine of the Chinese community and attracted the participation of over 53 students. She also coordinated Indigenous Peoples Day, featuring a virtual presentation and discussion on Native American history and life, as well as a virtual cooking session to promote social justice inclusion. Arti's efforts extended to Black History Month, where she hosted a virtual presentation and discussion on Black health and wellness across the African diaspora. She invited a Tufts Friedman alum and registered dietitian to discuss the legacy of Black food sheroes and their power to restore health today. She organized a virtual cooking session that included a recipe for Marcus bean salad, highlighting the symbolism of the ingredients and the essential leader. She has worked on the Climate Policy Lab at Fletcher School, where she assisted in assessing nutritional and climate impacts of dairy production and consumption in India, as well as bridging the gap between dairy production and emission of methane, carbon, and developing sustainable dairy farms in India. Her passion for sustainability was recognized by her selection for a prestigious fellowship by the University of New Hampshire Sustainability Institute, which helped embed her work in the greater New England sustainability community. Artie's dedication to supporting others is evident in her role as a teaching assistant and her work at the Food and Nutrition Innovation Institute, where she provided guidance and support to new students. Her willingness to help her peers is demonstrated through her assistance with preparing for interviews, offering career advice, and contributing to class discussions. Peers say that Artie is approachable, always available to answer questions, and fosters meaningful conversations. Her inclusive and collaborative approach has positively impacted her classmates and those around her. One student remarked, "Artie is truly a gem in the Friedman community. In my short time as a student, Artie has shown me what commitment and community engagement looks like from a person who is truly dedicated to the well-being of others." Without a doubt, Artie has managed to combine her passion and expertise of food, sustainability, and justice into a force for good on campus and in the world. These remarks only scratch the surface of Artie's impact on the Tufts community, and we are honored to recognize her work this morning. Congratulations, Artie. Penn Lowe, Associate Chair and Senior Lecturer of Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning at Tufts and Senior Lecturer at Tisch College.
Good morning, everybody. I really was wondering how I'm going to present someone who actually doesn't want this attention. I think like a lot of folks in this room doing this civic life, civic work, you're not doing it to glorify yourself. Indeed, believe that transformative change comes out of collective effort always. But here's a shot. Here's Johnny Shively, an excellent, amazing human being who brings a unique warmth and light to every community that they are part of. He embodies the practical visionary that our Department of Urban Environmental Policy and Planning seeks to nurture, where he's finishing his master's degree this spring. He turns the words community and civic life from nouns into verbs, something that you do, that you create, that you're a part of all the time. So maybe I'll just sit here and let him stand alone for 2 minutes, but I'm not gonna, I won't be that mean. I do want to say a few words about how Johnny is and why I nominated him for this award. Everything he does is about supporting participation, believing that every individual is capable of making change and making a difference, not only in their own lives, but the conditions of their communities. And he does this from a micro to a macro scale. Inside our department, just a small example, this past spring, he and several other students organized a yoga session for students, many of whom have not done that practice before, just to give people a chance to breathe and relax. He's been a teaching assistant and was in a workshop that I helped develop called Teaching Democracy, which just finished up this year, where we do a train-the-trainer program for, it involves half of the participants are Tufts students, half are community practitioners. And they learn popular education techniques, how to engage people and facilitate, and where we learn that everyone is a teacher and everyone is a learner. He started to do these workshops with Tisch Summer Fellowship, working with the Center for Economic Democracy, supporting a very unique and profound initiative here in Boston to institute participatory budgeting at the city level, where every resident's going to have a chance to weigh in on how the budget is allocated. So he did workshops with community partners. He has done a lot of advocacy work to help develop the policy for how to implement this. In fact, he testified at City Council just last month as they are trying to figure out how to implement. And he's completing his thesis, looking at how participatory budgeting processes can be a means for popular education and developing citizens. So join me in giving some of the love back to Johnny that he has shown the rest of us.
Rebecca Hirschman and Arlinda Resdo, graduate researchers at Tufts Department of Chemical and Biological Engineering.
Hi, hello, everyone. Rebecca and I have both been impacted so much in such a personal level by Brianna that we actually fought over who was going to present her today, and that's why it's both of us. But as engineering students, we'll definitely keep it under 3 minutes. We practice this. Ever since her first year at Tufts, Brianna has supported graduate student organizations in our community. Not only is she an exceptional PhD student in the biotechnology program, but she has been active in executive boards of the Graduate Student Council, Graduate Society of Women Engineers, and the Biomedical Engineering and Chemical Engineering Society. She has naturally evolved into a leader, becoming president of all of these organizations at some point. And she's evolved into a leader through her service to graduate students across multiple departments. Her service has touched many of us, and I'm very proud to be one of the people here introducing her today.
So Brianna joined our community in 2020 in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and regulations, but she immediately jumped into organizing and hosting events for the students and organizations that she was a part of. So anybody who has started a graduate program knows how difficult it is to take on additional responsibilities to starting your program, especially during a global pandemic, but Brianna put her whole self into it. She helped the graduate community stay connected and positive during the really difficult times everyone experienced, and was a very true friend to many of us. So her work throughout her time here has been nothing short of phenomenal, and her committed efforts to improving graduate student life. So we are really honored to present Brianna with the Presidential Award for Civic Life to recognize all the hard work, dedication, and service she has given us in the last several years.
Dr. Paul Benninger, Associate Professor of Public Health and Community Medicine at Tufts School of Medicine.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here, and I'm actually wearing several hats. First, I'm here for Helen Boucher, who's the Dean of the Medical School. She's traveling and unfortunately couldn't change her plans. And she sends her well wishes to the two medical student recipients, Ganev Singh and Katie Stevenson, who will be introduced next. I'm also here for John Chilingarian, who's the Brandeis Director of the MD MBA program. And John sends his best regards to Ganev as well. Ganev came to Tufts in June of 2019 as part of the orientation for the MD MBA matriculants. Before the day was over, he was elected co-president of the MD MBA cohort. Over the ensuing months and years, Ganev proved himself to be someone with extraordinary gifts and talents. First as a driver, He was able to assemble resources to move projects forward. As a connector, he was able to use his emotional intelligence to work with persons who are very different from himself. As a planner, he was able to think and act strategically. And as a seeker, a practical dreamer, he was able to imagine the possible within the impossible. Geneve practices what I call everyday leadership, modeling in deeply human terms what it means to care, continually pouring himself into the role and constantly looking for ways to improve the lots of others. A couple of brief examples. Geneve volunteers to work with volunteer populations, the incarcerated, the veteran, the person who is experiencing homelessness, through his involvement with the Elks National Foundation. And he vaccinated members of the Tufts Chinatown community for COVID-19 through his involvement with Got Vax. Remarkably, Geneva is also completing a concurrent dual MBA degree, for which he's being recognized for a sustained business scholarship with Beta Gamma Sigma honors. Geneve is a genuinely humble person, aware of his privileges and keenly intent on sharing his gifts for the benefits of others. Geneve, congratulations on this recognition and honor.
Jen Greer Morrissey, manager of the Tisch College Civic Life programs at the Health Sciences Graduate Schools.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, President Monaco and Dean Cunningham, for the honor of recognizing Katie Stevenson today. Her medical school commitments in Maine prevented her from making it down here so that she could blush while I say all these lovely things about her. But Dean Kulik and the MPH program director who helped co-nominate her are all very grateful for this opportunity to recognize her accomplishments. President Monaco, this is your last presidential award event, and someone who's been at these events for as long as you have. I just want to thank you also for your dedication, your years of dedication to celebrating the students, like all these inspiring students that we're hearing about today. So Katie Stevenson began her time at Tufts deeply engaged in advocacy. This included organizing a Tisch Fund sponsored conference called Rethinking Advocacy in Medicine with over 100 participants across 3 medical schools and community health centers. Passionate about the opioid crisis, Katie also co-led the effort to get the Tufts Board of Trustees to remove the Sackler name from our buildings, given the family's role in the opioid epidemic. And yet, knowing that the work was not done and the damage not undone by removing a name from a building, Katie also serves on President Monaco's committee to create an exhibit acknowledging Tufts' history with the Sackler family and the harm caused by the opioid crisis. Katie's strengths in advocacy have led me to invite her to lead several workshops on the topic, helping build our medical student skills and agency as physician leaders and advocates for health justice. As a member of the School of Medicine's main track, Katie spent the summer between her first and second year on a public health project way up in Caribou, Maine, interviewing residents from farmers to local business leaders to address community identified needs and strengths. This immersive experience led her to continue to spend her entire third year of her clinical training in Caribou, solidifying her interest in rural medicine. After her third year, she wanted experience that she would not be able to gain through traditional clinical training, but which would enable her to be the kind of doctor that she wishes to be. Now, many medical students take what's called a research year, but Katie created what she called a community engagement year. Continuing her focus on substance use disorder, Katie served as the program director for Project REACH, which provides outreach and support for individuals who have struggled with opioid use in the hard-hit rural counties of Maine. Katie collaborated with county jails and treatment providers to improve the continuity of care for incarcerated individuals with substance use disorder. And still an advocate as well as a practitioner, Katie also provided legislative testimony at the Maine State House in order to remove barriers to syringe exchange programs. All of this work highlights Katie's public health, research, and advocacy skills, but I would be remiss if I did not also mention her interpersonal skills. Katie spent part of her community engaged year in clinical pastoral education to develop skills to better support patients and providers in managing the suffering they've experienced. She is keenly tuned in to the emotional side of medicine and is not only compassionate herself, but recognizes the challenge of compassion fatigue and burnout among healthcare providers. Katie demonstrates this unique ability to see both a large-scale structural and policy issues and that deeply human and emotional side of medicine for both the patient and the provider, and she's attentive to both. Katie and I happen to share a personal interest in endurance sports. I've even had the pleasure of celebrating her podium finish at a triathlon and seeing her photos from a virtual marathon, which she ran alone when the Caribou Marathon she had been training for was canceled during the pandemic. You know, if it wasn't enough to be earning 2 degrees and doing all the accomplishments I just described. And I see these endurance sports as a metaphor for her commitment to health justice. She knows the road is long, that it will take a lot of hard work, that unexpected obstacles will get in the way, and that's exhausting and occasionally lonely. Like triathlon, she knows it'll take a multi-pronged approach. So instead of swim, bike, run, it's maybe research, patient care, and advocacy. And that there will be times that it will feel like it's an impossible task or that you may even want to quit. It's exhausting and lonely. But Katie will continue putting one foot in front of the other to pursue the best care and most equitable systems possible for all patients. Now she's tuned in to self-care and burnout, so she'll know when she needs to stop at an aid station and refuel and rest. And she'll also see when others on her path need some cheering and support. But she will keep going step by step, mile by mile. The next step in this journey will take her many miles away to Washington State. She is starting her family medicine residency in a rural training track where students spend 1 year in Seattle, but the following 2 years providing primary care to underserved rural communities. I cannot wait to follow her amazing career in which her compassionate care, public health skills, leadership, and advocacy will lead to both individual and systems changes. I thank you again for the opportunity to recognize Katie's inspiring accomplishments with you today as we recognize her with the Presidential Award for Civic Life.
Dr. John Morgan, Professor of Public Health and Community Service at Tufts Dental School.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Ashley McCalla. I've known Ashley since her first year at dental school when Ashley, who is Zambian, wanted to participate in a Tisch Summer Fellows program in Zambia. She had a great approach. She had a million ideas and couldn't wait to be involved with the program. But then that was 2019 and COVID changed everything. The dental outreach programs had to be postponed or canceled and are just recently becoming reactivated. However, Ashley's dedication to civic engagement was not postponed during the pandemic. She remained incredibly engaged and kept reaching out to underserved communities virtually when necessary and in person when possible. She served as community service chair for the Student National Dental Association. The SNDA is an organization dedicated to supporting underrepresented populations in dental schools and expanding dental care to underserved communities. Under her leadership, monthly community service events were planned and organized with 15 to 20 volunteers per event. The events were varied. They ranged from preparation of meals and organizing virtual fundraisers for homeless women to creating an annual sock collection held during Black History Month to bring awareness to those who are homeless, to conducting oral health promotion presentations for local elementary age children in Boston. Ashley's gifts come in many forms. Deeply rooted in her understanding that people learn in different ways, born out of the impact of the pandemic, Ashley founded Storytime, which is really quite impressive if you ever have access to it. Storytime is a video project created to address children's literacy challenges due to social isolation. Using a web-based platform, parents can go to view dental students reading children's books in 10 languages. She organized a team of 4 and collected over 50 videos for volunteer dental students. These videos not only provide opportunities to assist with literacy challenges, but introduce the children and parents to the dental profession, which in our case is very important, so they're more relaxed when they show up in the dental office. Ashley's community work has also taken her to the John D. O'Brien School of Mathematics and Science in Roxbury. She organized dental students to work with teachers to include examples from the dental sciences to create educational materials for the 9th and 10th grade curriculum, bringing attention to dentistry as a career. Despite her many commitments, Ashley found time to serve as a teaching assistant, maintained her academics, and prioritized providing quality care for the patients. In recognition of her commitments to primary care for disadvantaged communities, Ashley is the recipient of a competitive National Health Service Corps scholarship. And in July, she will go to Arizona and join the Winslow Indian Health Center for her residency in general practice. The impact of her service is exhibited by the positive influence she's had on faculty, peers, and community members. She has passion, compassion, leadership, scholarship, collaboration, and a very kind and extremely engaging personality. Her combination of community engagement and personal attributes make Ashley a great candidate for the Presidential Award for Civic Life.
Catherine Dolan, Assistant Professor of Public Health and Community Service at the Tufts Dental School.
Good morning. It's my honor to introduce Gabriel Perez, a graduating student of Tufts University School of Dental Medicine. Gabriel grew up in a rural town in Southwest Mexico, where access to dental care and medical care was scarce. From a young age, Gabe was sensitized to the racial and socioeconomic factors that negatively impacted his community. Gabe developed a fierce commitment to social justice that he carried on his journey to Boston and Tufts. As a dental student, Gabriel held multiple volunteer and leadership positions that promoted public service and civic engagement. Most notable, Gabe served as the National Student Trustee of the Hispanic Dental Association, whose mission is to serve as the leading voice for the Hispanic oral health in the United States. In this position of leadership, he served as the liaison and advocate for more than 1,400 student members throughout the country. During his 2-year term, he organized 2 national conferences and was the founding member and student editor of the Journal of Hispanic Dental Association, the only scientific dental journal that is published in both Spanish and English in the United States. At the end of his first year and during the COVID pandemic, Gabe went to South Jersey and turned his attention to the area's migrant farm workers and homeless population. With the help of the National Hispanic Dental Association and its executive director, Gabe organized outreach events to address access to dental care, which is largely out of reach for the migrant farm workers due to the lack of insurance, language barriers, and fears connected to immigration status. Gabe worked in the field to address these issues by providing oral health kits and oral health information in Spanish and English. Currently, Gabe serves as the Vice President of the Tufts Hispanic Dental Association chapter. Under his leadership, this chapter established an educational opportunity with the Mexican consulate in Boston, where Tufts Hispanic Dental Association members conduct oral health presentations for recent immigrants and others connected with the consulate. Other notable achievements include Gabriel's completion of a research project studying the factors and social determinants of health that led Hispanic Latinx people in the United States to be more affected by COVID-19 in comparison to other populations. Gabe also holds a leadership position on the Tufts University School of Dental Medicine's Autism Smiles project. And he was a 2022 Tisch Summer Fellow. Gabe's tenacity, unselfish dedication to the underserved, positivity, desire to share his experiences and skills, generosity with his time and energy make him an outstanding recipient of the Tufts University Presidential Award for Civic Engagement. After graduation, Gabe will be attending a pediatric residency program at Harvard University School of Dental Medicine. Congratulations, Gabe.
And finally, Dr. Alistair Cribb, Dean of the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University.
Thank you, Dana. President Monaco, guests, thank you for staying. So this is, I think, a good bookend to how we started this morning, and I'm really pleased and honored to be able to stand up here and present this award to Alex. For those of you who haven't read the nomination forms, it starts off and says, please describe why this nominee deserves to be recognized for their community leadership, public service, civic engagement, and/or commitment to anti-racism and social justice. And you've heard lots of examples about that, and I've been sitting there thinking how I'm going to tell you about what Alex has done in the 3 minutes that Dana's allotted us, and at the end, I'm sure we don't want to go over. To me, that comes down to a couple of things. Did you make a difference, and did you leave a legacy? And it's very clear to me that we can say that about Alex's time here at Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine. It will be a different school because she's been here, and we've been able to serve our community in different ways while she's been here. And I believe from what she's done that that's going to continue to have an effect. So she clearly fits into this category. I'm up here on behalf of her main nominees, which is Erin King, our Tisch coordinator for Civic Life, Dr. Emily McCobb, who is with our Center for Animals and Public Policy and runs many of our outreach programs, and Dr. Flo Sang, who is our Associate Dean for Diversity, Inclusion, Equity, and Climate. So those three nominees tells you a lot about why Alex is here. As the Dean, I always know a student is making a difference because I start to hear about them from many different people in many different ways, and Alex fit into that category. And one of the earlier pleasures I had this year was to nominate Alex for the Patricia M. Lowry, let me make sure I get the title correct. Hang on, I wrote the nomination, but let me show you get it right. Yeah, the Patricia M. Lowry Diversity Leadership Scholarship. Now, what's important about this scholarship is it is awarded by the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges. So that is the association of all veterinary colleges across the US and Canada, and includes a large number of international schools as well who educate veterinary students. So this is not an award that we gave her within the school. We nominated her, and she was the sole recipient selected from all the veterinary schools in North America. And that wasn't quite enough. So she went to Washington and received this award earlier this year. They gave her the Merck Animal Health Diversity Leadership Scholarship at the same time. So it was a double winner. And now she's getting the Presidential Award for Civic Life. So what has she done? We have something called the Tufts Veterinary Council on Diversity, which really helps us do a better job of addressing diversity within our school, but also serving all our diverse clients and communities. She co-founded the, the student chapter of the Latinx Veterinary Medical Association here on our campus. So that's an example of the legacy that will continue. And she's done two major things in addition to that. We've heard several comments about, investigating a problem, understanding it, and then looking for a solution. And we've heard about identifying problems and going out and doing it. So we have a couple of major issues in veterinary medicine. If you went back 40 years, we all looked like me. Then we became largely a profession of, well, about 2000 went 50-50, male, female, but we were largely all white, and many of us from suburban environments. We used to be rural, then we became suburban. That's a real problem for our profession and for the communities that we serve, because you think of veterinary medicine as about animals, and it is, but it's about people. There is somebody on the other side of every animal, and the animal cannot speak for itself. So we have to be able to communicate effectively with the owners. And veterinary, being a veterinarian and working with the animals, it's actually a public health profession. For many ways, everything simply from zoonotic diseases, but it's how many people actually are comfortable discussing their health issues. You put an animal in the mix and everything changes. So you have to be able to communicate. And if you are a profession that is not diverse, that's an issue. So we're working very hard to increase our diversity. And Alex recognized this problem, and some of it simply sounds simple, but language barriers, but there is a lot of cultural understanding. So Alex has been participating in our International Veterinary Certificate Program, and as part of that, she did an international study focused in Egypt, trying to look at what are the cultural differences in the interactions between people and animals in Egypt. And that, of course, helps us understand what's happening in other countries. It also helps us understand what happens here in the United States, and all that kind of knowledge and information is transferable. So she has presented that research in a poster format and is working on the publication right now. I don't think it's out yet, but it's underway. So she's engaged in that, identified a problem, and the other problem that we have a clinic in Worcester that is probably the extreme example of this, where 20% roughly of our clients are Hispanic, and we don't have very good abilities to communicate. Now, to recognize this problem, volunteered herself to step in our clinics and help as an interpreter, not just at the Worcester Clinic, because we have a number, but recognize that that is a short-term solution and she can't be everywhere. So she stepped up and said, well, I'm not the student, I'll be the faculty member, and we'll create a selective, so it's an elective that our students can do in Spanish. And of course, it has to be Spanish and the ability to communicate about veterinary medicine, which has some different words and language, et cetera, in it. So she has developed this selective, we call it, and our students have been engaging in this. And I have a feeling that, very hopeful, that this is going to be something that will continue afterwards. But it has already had an impact, and I think will continue to have an impact on how we function at Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine. So those are a couple of examples of how she has made a difference and is leaving a legacy. So thank you and congratulations, Alex.
Please join me one more time in congratulating all of the winners, their family and friends, and their nominators who helped us identify and celebrate all of these amazing leaders. And now back to you, President Monaco, for closing remarks.
Thank you, Dana, and congratulations to all the winners and their nominators and their parents and families here and friends to support them. I was thinking as we were finishing up that I've been doing this for 12 years, and I think I've probably given awards now to around 250 students. And if you add that all up, it's a full 24-hour period. So 12 years times 2 hours. So it's a full day of my life. And after listening to so many inspirational stories, I can certainly say it's been one of the best days of my life. So thank you all for all that you do for our community and our surrounding communities. And I hope we'll keep this award ceremony going in the future with many students and their nominators putting forth these incredible individuals and all the work they do. Thank you.